Hey guys, welcome back to the Pre-Calculus 20 videos. In this video, we're going to be looking at lesson 2.4, which is talking all about the law of cosine. So just as a quick recap, typically we would use the law of cosine whenever we're working with oblique triangles. And an oblique triangle is essentially a non-right triangle, or this triangle that we'll be working with does not contain a 90-degree angle. So just to start, before we talk about the actual law of cosine, I'm going to start by drawing an oblique triangle. And I'm going to label it with vertices A, B, and C. And then their corresponding sides as little a, little b, and little c. So according to the law of cosine, your side c squared is equal to your side a squared plus your side b squared minus 2 times your side a times your side b times cosine of angle C. Now, one thing that's going to be really important about this formula is it depends on what you're looking for. Using this equation here, we would typically want to be solving for side C. But suppose you're looking for side A, just make sure you put your variables in the correct places. Like you'd want to swap C with A and A with C. So suppose we're looking for side A, we'd have A squared is equal to, so in this case we have A, we want to swap that with C. So we have C squared plus B squared minus 2 times side C times side B and times the cosine of angle A. So basically you just swap out whatever letter you're using and really just switch their places. So just be kind of careful. This can be a little bit confusing depending on how you label your triangle, but just make sure you put it in the correct places and you should be good to go. So suppose we were looking for maybe the angle of, maybe we're looking for angle A. If we were to manipulate this equation, move everything else, all of the c squared and b squared, if we were to move it all to the left-hand side, we would even have a simplified form of this formula. So we'd have cosine of A would be equal to a squared minus c squared minus b squared. That's all divided by 2cb. So essentially what we're doing here is we would solve for cosine of A. And if you guys want a little bit more of a breakdown, just come see me in class or outside of class or message me in Remind 101 and I can hopefully help explain how to get to the simplified form of cosine of A. But essentially all that we're doing is we're going to treat cosine of A as a variable and move everything else on over using our properties for solving equations. So now let's apply the law of cosine to an actual example. And this one here is going to come from number 1 in your notes. And what we're going to do here is we're going to determine the measure of angle A to the nearest degree. And just as a quick little recap as well, we know that we're using the law of cosine and not the law of sine because we're given side, 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 and we're looking for an angle. So if you have side, 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 that is one of the two possibilities for determining if you should use the law of cosine. So then your next step here is we want to write our law of cosine, and if it helps your brain, let's write this in terms of we're looking for angle A. So scrolling on up here, we're actually going to be using this formula here. And one thing that's kind of really nice and convenient is that it's actually already solved and written in terms of angle A. Just remember, if you're looking for maybe angle B, you replace or swap A with B. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite our equation down below. So you have cosine of angle A is equal to a squared minus c squared minus b squared, all divided by negative 2cb. Then we're just going to fill in all the information that we know. So we're looking for the cosine of angle A, and that's equal to, so this is your side A. So going over to that corresponding side, we have 20. So it should be 20 squared minus c squared. Your corresponding side here is 15. So we have 15 squared minus b squared, and in this case that is 14. Then we're going to divide that by negative 2 times c, which is 15, times 14, which is your b value. So then what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this fraction before we do anything with our cosine value. So for now, we're just going to rewrite cosine of a, and we're going to simplify the numerator and the denominator of our fraction. So our first step to simplify the numerator is we want to actually apply these squares. So you can go 20 squared. If you either know that off by hand or put that into your calculator, you should get 400 minus 15 squared, which is minus 225. Then we can subtract 14, which is 14 squared, which is 196. Then we can look at simplifying our denominator. And this here you can multiply all at once. And what you should get in your calculator is negative 420. From there, we need to keep simplifying our numerator. And so all we have to do is just subtract each of those numbers. So we have 400 minus 225 minus 196. So you can either put that in your calculator or try that out in your head. And what we should have is negative 21 over negative 420. We can even go one step further and apply. A negative divided by a negative becomes a positive value. So you have cosine of a is equal to 21 over 420. So at this point, our right-hand side here is fully simplified as much as I would like it to be. Make sure you should not put this fraction into your calculator and come up with a decimal. Typically, I like to keep those fractions in until the very last step. And to finish this off, we want angle A, not cosine of A, so we need to move cosine to the other side. So to move cosine to the other side, you have to do that opposite operation, which is cosine inverse. So you take cosine inverse of that entire right side, so you get 21 over 420, then close your bracket. Then you can go ahead and put this one into your calculator. Just a reminder, make sure your calculator is in degrees and not radians or gradians, or if not, you will get the wrong answer. And what we'll find is that when we put this answer into our calculator, we should get that angle A is equal to 87 degrees. Once again, don't forget your unit symbol here, just a little circle here to indicate your degrees, because if not, that typically would represent radians, so make sure you include your units. And now we've answered our question and we are all good to go. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to come see me in class, outside of class, or text me on Remind 101. And I hope this video helped you guys.